it like a threat. And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. You can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well. Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Want to be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Spots is taken care of right off the top. Bull, Bitcoin, and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop. It doesn't matter what topics discussed. Quality entertainment and information you can trust.
That's being planned or at least discussed. You know, we're not going to allow people to buy stuff
and information you can trust. Send the guy some value, boost them with some stats. Bitcoin is a scarcity asset. I mean, it's just a fact. Geopolitical, national, down to the local cloud.
Friends and enemies, welcome back to the Canadian Bitcoiners podcast. Tonight we have a great show for you. Len and I, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin Core. We're going to be talking about ledger leaks. We're going to be talking about, I think we should be talking about Danny Knowles versus Michael Saylor today, which released and worked up a lot of people on Bitcoin Twitter, myself included. We're going to talk about El Salvador pretending they're still into Bitcoin, among other things. And of course, get into some notable Canadian news as well. But Len, first as always, let's talk about how you're doing. What's going on over there? How the heck are you?
Cold. How about you?
Same. Although my heater is keeping me warm here, my hash heater. So not too nice today. I took my dog out for a walk at the end of my workday around 4 o'clock. And I kind of just wore my light jacket thinking, I'll work up a bit of a sweat while I'm going anyways. Did not work up a sweat. Did not have the right jacket on. And so I was cold until like, I swear, like 20 minutes ago when I came down here to refresh on some of the notes I had for the show. But that's okay. No problem. It's winter. But we're doing okay over here in Canada. Why don't we start with the sponsors? Then we'll get into some housekeeping and some other stuff. First, of course, easy DNS. Len, they don't call it hard DNS. It's not called hard DNS. It's not called difficult to deal with DNS. It's not called, why did I call this guy DNS? It's called easy DNS because it's easy. Mark will take care of you if you have registrar needs. He is the guy in the know when it comes to domain registrar, okay? Domain registrars. Not only that, but he's got a lot of other stuff going on too. Easy mail, domain sure, protect your data, but also your client's data, your mailing list data. Don't be Instagram. Don't be Spotify. Don't be any of these companies that are getting pinched and clipped and hacked and all sorts of other things for data. Not to mention, Len, if you're a Bitcoin or virtual private server options for you. You want to run a Bitcoin node? Do it there. You want to run Nostr Relay? Do it there. You can get verified on Nostr, whatever that means these days, with Mark. Go there. Use our promo code CBP Media. Start a website. Buy a domain. Hoard them. 50% off your first round of buys. You can't beat that. Why wouldn't you go and buy autisticbarbiecollection.com after today? I think we'll probably talk about that in notable news. I don't know. Anyway, easy DNS. Go there and tell them we sent you. Who's the other sponsor?
I like Bull Bitcoin because they could buy Bitcoin over there. You could sell Bitcoin over there. 91,000. I'm not sure which category you are in, to buy or to sell, but either way, they have you covered. You could do it Lightning. You could do it on-chain. On-chain fees are still very cheap.
Yep.
What it should be in the future. So I would suggest continually do your on buys for the time being, but don't discount the other one. What?
Yeah, nothing. They're going to be like that in the future. I don't know if they will or not, but
I can guarantee nothing aside from death and taxes. Other than that, right? Yeah. But I assume that the price is going to go up and the fees are going to go up as well. So you might want to start learning how to use Lightning. But not only that, not only could you do those buys and sells, like I said, you could do the reoccurring buys, you could do auto buys, limit orders, you could pay people in e-transfer by sending Bitcoin. So if you owe somebody some cash, you could have Bull Bitcoin facilitate that. You send Bull Bitcoin your Bitcoin, and then they will e-transfer your BUD with Canadian dollars. You could pay your bills with Bitcoin. So that's other things you could do. Check them out. They're best in the game, non-custodial. This is what you want in exchange. You don't want them to hold on to your Bitcoin. When you do the buy, you have to provide an address. May not have to be the right address, but you have to provide a Bitcoin address. They won't facilitate that buy without that address. Check them out. Use our sign-up code below. By doing that, all your buys and sells for the remainder of your life will be cheaper. So might as well do that. Check them out.
Well, where do you want to start?
Wherever you want. I'm flexible today. I'm just defending. I'm in defense mode.
Why don't we do Boost first, and then we'll go from there.
So boosts, we only have a couple. I think we have an issue with our fountain, and I haven't got around to fixing it. It's been very busy. Sold a car, Joey. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Your
My
old
wife's
car?
No, my old car
Oh,
was
wow.
sellable. My wife's
gonna
old
say.
car, so she bought it.
Okay.
So yeah, and so it's been very busy between that and her sister being sick and everything else. It's been very challenging, but that's why I haven't got around to fixing the fountain. Either way, I got 2 boosts. Mo BTC Dick 500 sats, and he says, "This is more for you, Joey. Can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts on the latest What Bitcoin Did Sailor interview."
Yeah, man. Holy fuck.
Exactly. He did I didn't hear it. I heard one review of it, and it's like exactly what you say. He goes in, did brrr, and that's it, right? That's
Yeah.
But maybe
We'll
you got some thoughts on it. You want to tell
talk about
BTC
it.
to care?
We'll do
Okay.
the rest of the boost. We'll talk. Maybe we'll lead with that just for the sake of leading for it.
And we got Jamie. I don't think it's Jaime. I think it's Jamie. 1,000 sats he sends
Thank you,
in
sir.
to us. Happy New Year. And a Happy New Year to you too.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only 2 I have. for
Short and
this week.
sweet. Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have no interview this week, no interview next week. I was going to do Canadian Dominion Society, but you know, I will tell them this as well. Reviewing some of their tweets and whatnot, I think that's flying a little too close to the sun for me. Some stuff I disagree with there on a personal level. And while I do agree that we've kind of let immigration get away from us, it doesn't mean you can just say certain things. And without getting into details, I mean, you guys can guess what some of those things might be. I'm not going to do that interview, and I'll let them know that. But I do want to put some other ones in the hopper for the next few weeks anyway. And we'll let you guys know when we schedule those. But keep an eye out. We have not forgotten about interview shows. We're going to obviously get back to them. But Len and I are both busy, as he mentioned. I have my little one now getting into activities. So yet another.
I have an interview scheduled for February 4th. Tentatively,
go.
it's going to be Mr. Arnome coming on. He's been on the show a few times, and he wants to come on once again to basically vent. That's the way I get it. I want to hear him vent. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you too as well.
Yeah, he's a good guest.
In response to a lot of you people when he comes.
He's
on.
a good guest. I like when he comes on because him and I disagree on a lot of stuff, which is fun. And we've shared airtime on this program before. He's a good guy, honest actor, like I always say, is what we're looking for, and he definitely fits that bill. Okay, let's talk about Sailor and Knowles here. I don't listen to What Bitcoin Did anymore. I'll say this. Okay? I don't find Danny to be a particularly good interviewer. Maybe he's still cutting his teeth in that regard. And I think this episode is a great example of that because your review, Len, is somewhat accurate, but it's missing some key details. And the key detail, I'm gonna mess this up. I'd prefer if I had actually listened to it again the last hour, but I didn't. Knowles basically starts the interview with a question to Sailor that I view as like wildly, almost irresponsibly inert for getting a guy like Sailor to come on your show. The question was basically, with a lot of these, treasury companies trading below MNAV, trading below 1 MNAV, is it fair to say that the market doesn't have the capacity to absorb all these different pure play treasury companies? And if not, then, what's going to happen to some of these guys? They're getting crushed, basically, is what he was saying. Sailor dragged him through the fucking mud for 45 minutes on that question. Said he was offensive, said he was insulted, said he was a moron, said he was wasting his time. Yeah, brutal. And, we have a Sailor chat, Boomers In, that I had some disagreements with a couple of our buddies on today. And, I'm not the only person who had these views. Sailor, like I've said many times, man, Sailor is not an agile speaker. He comes in with a set of talking points that he wants to get across, with a set of narrative bits that he wants to, put into the ether, whether it's on CNBC or on What Bitcoin Did or with Preston Pish or with Natalie Brunell, whoever. And he ripped Danny. He really put Danny on his heels, even though I thought that was a good question. And Sailor saying stuff like, why aren't you asking about the companies that aren't buying Bitcoin? As opposed to focusing your energy on the ones that are buying Bitcoin. And I just like Gandalf put it well in one of the replies to one of the threads I looked at. He's asking that question because you're the godfather of the treasury strategy. It's a Bitcoin podcast. And he's got you for an interview. Like, what do you want him to ask you? How's it going? How do you like the weather? Like what? It's sort of a rhetorical. It's a rhetorical question, right? Because what does he want him to ask? Everyone
maybe
knows.
not, Joey.
Well,
you don't know for certain, because I'm going to say this. Do you know guaranteed that he's asking for questions beforehand? I don't.
He's not asking for questions beforehand, but I know.
Is he? Wait, I know. You do know or you don't know? Like you're saying no definitively?
And you know, and everyone else knows that what Sailor wants to do is take question A and just drag you over to the answer he wants to give. Right?
I guess
he's famously, he's been doing that in 4K for 5 years.
But does he ask for questions beforehand?
No, he doesn't. He definitely doesn't.
See, I don't know. And I'm gonna say if he asked for it and that question wasn't part of it, I could kind of understand his beef. I don't totally agree with it.
Yeah.
But I could kind of understand where he's coming from. But if there's no questions that were asked pre-hand, then he clearly there is no beef whatsoever. So
yeah. Okay, fair enough. But I was really disappointed with Sailor, though that is his MO at this point. And I think if you're ignoring that, then you're either overexposed to MSTR and the other equities, or you're just fanning a little bit too hard. And I was disappointed with Knowles because I really thought he had him on his heels a bit, and it would have been nice to see Danny go from Charmander to Charmeleon a little bit during that interview when he had the chance. Instead, he crossed his legs, sat backwards in his chair, and let Sailor absolutely steamroll him. Call him names, call him stupid, say he's wasting time. Very unprofessional, to say the least. It's petty.
For a guy that's was spearheading a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
Now he owns a fuckload of assets for that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a lot of control. To do that, come out in public and do that looks fucking bush.
It was nasty. Yeah, it was nasty. I totally agree. I would like to hear Danny talk about that a little bit. He won't, because these guys need access. And if you go and you talk about that kind of thing after the fact without Sailor being there to defend himself, then that's it. I see Boomer in the chat and saying he didn't call him a moron. He didn't use the word moron, but he did say it was a dumb question, basically. There was a couple of different words he was using in there that are slipping my mind now, and I don't want to misquote him. But the implication was that he was calling him stupid. And I think that's unprofessional, unfair. And by the way, this is a guy who has never had to play defense, Mike Sailor. And the only times I've said this a bunch on this show, okay? But we get new listeners every week, and so I'll say it again. Anytime Michael Sailor has not been able to go on a 1 hour monologue, he looks stupid. Texas Bitcoin mining thing, the Bitcoin mining committee or whatever on Marty's show years ago, looks stupid. That was the first strike. He went dark for a while after that. Now he only goes on a few shows. Okay. He only goes on a few television programs as well. He avoids actively guys like Schiff, who honestly, like, I don't know if Schiff is right or wrong about MSTR strategy. I don't know if MSTR strategy is going to last long term. I think their treasury and balance sheet or whatever is pretty safe, given that Bitcoin is probably not going anywhere. But, if you keep ducking the best opponents and calling yourself the heavyweight champ, eventually you're going to hit Clubber Lang, right? And once you get into the ring with someone like that, there's not going to be, like, Mick and Apollo are not going to train you. You're going to fall out of favor. And I look at the stock price of MSTR. I look at the quote unquote success that his company is lacking these days compared to like 2 years ago. And I see a guy who I said this in the chat too, Boomer will vouch for this. I think he thinks he's lost a bit of his luster. And I think we think he's lost a bit of his luster in Bitcoin. The market certainly does. The market certainly thinks he's lost some luster. S&P Q's trading at all-time highs. He can't get off of the lows. Bitcoin, rebounding to 90, 92,000, whatever it was the last couple of days. He can't get off the lows. Now, I might end up being wrong about the, the bit about the end price of MSTR. Like, if Bitcoin goes to 150K, like, is MSTR going to go to 450 again? Maybe. I don't know. I just don't think that at this point anyone can point to Sailor and say he's been great for MSTR or for Bitcoin over the last like 7-8 months. And someone in the other chat today was saying, like, yeah, he's buying a bunch of Bitcoin. So what? If buying Bitcoin is all it takes to be good, then the ETFs are better than Michael Sailor anyway. Sailor is Sailor is actually costing us if we're talking about money into Bitcoin as being a positive and MSTR being that positive, because people are buying that instead of buying the ETFs and taking away from that tranche. Like this whole thing doesn't, it's not good is where I will leave this.
Oh, Danny fucked up, because if he, in the middle of all that, he just said, sorry, give me a second, and went to one of those Ledger advertisements and then took a break.
He didn't go to Ledger. He did go to an ad though, pretty early on.
He should have did that a little more, but the Ledger one would have really been enough to take people's off their game, and then he could reset and come back with a new question that has been pre-approved by the Sailor team, and he'll be able to run. Maybe that's it. You were saying that he's steamrolled a whole bunch of people, and every time he goes off script, it seems to be like he's lost when he.
So he just looks unprepared. Yeah,
maybe that's the whole thing. I can't guarantee this to be the case, but it seems like he's been given a set of questions beforehand. He looks at them, or his team looks at them, and then sends it to him, and he preps for those, knowing what they're going to be beforehand, and then is able to run from there. Once you go off that script, it changes everything, and for him to speak on his feet, maybe a bit more of a challenge, especially if he wasn't prepared for that type of
one other thing I'll note is that I think that MSTR also realizes he's falling out of favor, because Fong Li is doing more and more media now in the Bitcoin space. And so that tells me that they think there's someone who can carry the water a little better than Sailor, or that they need to switch up the flavor a little bit from time to time, because people are souring on the Sailor monologues.
Did he say anything about the MSCI announcement?
No, he didn't. But I brought that up to our chat too. Like, this guy... Why? Because he's playing.
Not your question. Why didn't he bring it up?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have to. He publicly had to go on defense against it, right? His product is so good that he requires the MSCI listing to stay relevant. Is that the takeaway? I don't know. Again, like, I'm just going to point out the obvious here, that I'm very much going on the vibe that I get from him and from the company and from the comm strategy. And you may say, well, what good is the vibe? And I would say to you that I think the vibe, if you can read it, tells you a lot about what's going on behind the scenes. I've never seen him that defensive, that jumpy, showing teeth like that to Knowles of all people, a guy he is familiar with. I don't know. To me,
I'm disappointed, man, because I'm so heavily invested in this, right? And to hear this, it's fucking ruining my day. I think I might have to place an order, market order tomorrow morning, sell everything, all 0 shares I have.
Yeah.
If anyone wants it at the market order, you can have it.
Anyway, let's go on to the stories here.
Do you want to talk about Bitcoin Core, the issues that they're having?
What's not to like about this story? Core claiming that Knots was ill-maintained and Knots would cause problems, and yet here we are, the Core group of devs silent, more or less, right? You got a handful of people making comments, but generally silent on a pretty significant issue. What is it? Wallet or whatever? Is that what it's called?
It's the migration, the migrating of a legacy wallet. This could cause an issue. And from what I understand, it's for version 30.1 are impacted. And so if you, let's be perfectly honest, if you fucking have Core, if you're running, right, like, let's be honest, if somebody
and the Satoshi Arrow wallet, basically, right, is that the
you're not gonna use that as a fucking wallet. You don't run your wallet software the same computer that runs your Node client. You shouldn't do that. That's poor practice, in my honest opinion. But even worse practice is using the Core wallet feature that's built into it as a fucking wallet. Why would anybody want to use that unless you're just testing shit out on testnet or something? Fine, be all the more power to you. But when you're actually using fucking Bitcoin proper, there's better things you could use. There's an Sparrow out there that's been tried, tested, and fucking true, just fucking works. But this is what it is. So it looks really bad on the Core people. People are dunking on them, but like I said, the reality is, who's fucking using this as a wallet? I think very few people are using it in totality. But what it does show off, really more than anything, is the complexity of the code we're dealing with. What has been done is the software itself becomes more and more complicated, more and more complex to maintain, more and more complex to update. We talk about this on Axis of Easy. You should listen to that, watch that. When operating systems, it's kind of in the same vein, gets more complex, like Windows, it's so challenging to keep it up to date, to make sure that all the the holes are closed and it's just a secure system just because of how complex it is. Core is getting really complex as a client. It makes me wonder that maybe this is a good time for people out there to start programming the lightweight clients. We have the one that's written in Go. We have the one that's written in Rust. We may need more of these lightweight clients out there. Give people alternatives, not just Knots and Core and these other ones, but we need more stuff that just is not bloated with shit. That's what I want to see. That's what I hope we get. This will probably be a wake-up call, I think, for some people out there. I think everybody's faulty, right? Like people are saying, pointing fingers at Core, their shit. And, you know, all this stuff that Luke has done in the past few months, he's kind of looked funny too, right? But to his credit, Knots has been pretty good. But still, like, you know what I mean? Like there's so much things that could go wrong here. We just need more alternatives, more options. Clients, we just need more clients out there. This is not something we should be playing with lightly. This is fucking our money. This is something we could fucking really put a nail into the fiat system if we do it right. But if we don't, if we fuck it up, we have one chance at this. If we fuck it up, it's done. What are we gonna? We'll just be continually living in this fiat environment for the rest of our lives. I don't want to see that. We got to move on to something better. Bitcoin is it. Let's make it better.
How do you fix the core development problem? Gloria Zhao and Adam Back and like the Bitcoin mailing list stuff, or the Bitcoin, it's like the Bitcoin forum or something. The comments coming out where the devs are going, Gloria and Adam, I think, actually are going back and forth talking about vulnerabilities, and then they decide they're just too hard to fix, so they can't fix them.
So if you have alternatives, as long as the client itself adheres to...
No, but I don't mean that. I don't mean that. I mean, how do you fix the core dev problem, right? Because not
you don't have like...
Well, I mean, you don't have to yet, but at some point, yeah, you want the core devs to be competent people. Because Knots is all core, save for a couple lines of code. So like people can say that Knots is like this unverified, unvetted thing, but it is sort of indirectly just another,
it's a derivative.
Yeah, barely even a derivative. It's like a clone of core, save for a few lines. So you need to have the core dev team on the ball. So how do you fix the development problem over there?
So I'm going to go back. As long as you have alternatives out there, do you really, like, you know what I mean? If you think about it, it's like an operating system, right? You have to run something to use your computer. At the onset, you had DOS, you had whatever the Mac OS had it. You had very few, and you had fucking Unix. But for home users, you really had just the DOS, and then it migrated to Windows. But over time, then came this nice, lightweight, free to use open source software, GNU/Linux. It works, and from there, it just, you have a bunch of different branches. But that's what you need. We have Core, it's there, but you could have something else. Core could do what they want. You could have something else give you exactly what Core could do, just on a lightweight, less bullshit type of environment, usability, shit like that. So Core could do that as long as there's clients out there that are in line with consensus of the network, right? It's going to be doing shit that's going to be every 10 minutes. It's like, that's all you really need. So Core could do what they want. Who cares? They could push things. Who cares? It's the people themselves that ultimately want to have what they want. As long as there's options, they could pick and choose what they want to run. We want options. I want options.
Yeah.
Fuck Core. Fuck everything.
Okay.
I want options.
All right. All right.
Just like Linux. Linux gives you like a shitload of options.
Yeah, but the problem isn't optionality. The problem is that like the other options, the other Bitcoin clients are just copied from Core.
Well, copied in what sense? Like if you're doing something
like
from
the
scratch,
code base is
like the
same.
Rust one or the Go one, that's done from scratch.
Okay, fair enough.
Right?
Fair
so like
enough,
they're not
yeah.
copying. They have a set of rules they have to abide by because that's network rules, and that's it. If you're saying that's copying, okay, but once you do that, you're good to go. Then if you could hook up your software to that particular node, you could query it. Great.
Yeah.
I just want more options.
We do need more. We do need more options. We do need
Core
more
is not the
options.
be all and end all.
Yeah. Yeah.
They fuck around too much. They give us information well past in terms of like when there's an issue with a particular piece of software, years later they'll release the information what was wrong with it. For instance, why do we have to wait years?
Oh God, no, we never. I mean, updating Bitcoin. We're gonna find this out with Quantum, by the way. I know no one wants to use the keyword, but we are gonna find out how hard it is to update the protocol. And we better
You're a big fan
start
of,
thinking about that too.
You're a big proponent of quantum being something that's going to cause issues in the not too distant future, it seems, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 10 years, maybe max.
All right.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right?
Oh, long enough time horizon. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a big deal. Ledger. We're gonna talk about the Ledger hack. They're doing some creative.
Why not?
Yeah, the folks over there are doing some creative things to try to steal other people's Bitcoin and maybe some digital assets that are called shitcoins. Jameson Lopp out there was posting an interesting scam that was being perpetrated because there's been several hacks getting information of people who it is that own a Ledger device. So there's emails now coming out, apparently from Ledger, saying that Ledger and Trezor have merged companies. And they're saying that all Ledger...
Just imagine just a shit milkshake. Just nothing works over there.
Well, in this email, which is fake, by the way, it says all Ledger users have to migrate to the unified Trezor interface in the next few weeks. And they give a link to click. It looks really good. You click on that link. And I don't know what happened when you click the link because they just showed a picture of the email. I presume it goes to a site where it's asking you for your seed phrase. These hacks, they are getting out of control. And the problem with this is that we have one particular company to blame for this, or maybe not one, but there's a few of that. But really, Ledger is like the poster child here. Mm-hmm. And all this goes to show you is when you're going to buy a particular device, like a signing device, you may want to think long and hard, not getting a Ledger, given their track record. CoinKite does a really good job. I'm not getting fucking paid by them. You're not getting paid by them, Joey. Like this is just we like the product that they deliver, and they do a good job. It works well. But not only that, when you order something from them, from what I understand, shortly thereafter, within months, they destroy that information. So that information tying your name to ordering that device is gone. So if there was ever a hack, depending when it takes place, unless you order very recently, you're pretty much safe. And that's what you want in a company that they value your privacy. And Ledger does not. I just want to keep bringing this up. Ledger is using it still better than leaving on exchange, but not by much. And just if you got one of these emails, be careful. Anybody that's asking you for your seed phrase, they're just asking for your fucking Bitcoin. Never give it up. Not to friend, not to family, nobody. Because if you do, it could potentially be gone. Fuck Ledger.
Ledger was the first mover in the wallet space, right?
I think so.
And so, have they really fumbled the bag? Boomer's raising a good point that I think I would lean toward that as well. Actually, Boomer, that Trezor is the superior product now.
They've had their own hacks.
They have, but not like this. Like names, addresses, emails, phone numbers. Like that's the whole kit and caboodle. So you pile this in with the weekly wrench attacks in a place like France. There's people willing to go get this money, go get those coins, and whatever else is on your ledger, I guess. But Cold Card is the best product security-wise, for sure. UI, leaves something to be desired for the new Bitcoiner, let's say. Although I don't think it matters if you're of a certain vintage. You're going to find that the quality of the product, trumps anything else.
Well, Seed Signer is pretty good too in that you build it. And so you're getting
super niche market though. Super niche market. Maybe no one's building their own. And do you want to build your own wallet? Secure generational wealth on there. I don't know. I'm not sure you want to do that.
I don't know. From what I understand, it's very well liked. I can't speak with confidence on how good or shitty it is because I have never used it. But people that have used it, they love it. So take that to heart.
Seed Signer guys actually seem cool online too, which is nice. They're good people.
You talked about the French government. Let's do the story where they're not doing Bitcoiners a solid.
God.
A corrupt tax agent in France was getting access to people's information. And the info he was accessing was the government-stored database that indicated how much Bitcoin and shitcoins people had. And this is all due to KYC laws in France. So, You buy Bitcoin, somehow that information, you buy it through the regular exchange, of course, somehow that information ends up going to the French government. They have the database. And while this guy was selling this information to gangs out there, and of course they use this info, and you know what they did with it, they try to extort the Bitcoin and shitcoins from those people that have a decent amount on their ledger or cold card or wherever the fuck they have it on. And they say that crypto kidnapping is becoming more commonplace in France. It's happening on a weekly basis now. It goes to show you that the value of KYC free Bitcoin, there is fucking value there.
Totally.
Because, so services like BISC and RoboSats and shit like that, Bitcoin ATMs that offer up KYC free, there's some value there, because this cannot happen if you have KYC free Bitcoin. If somebody had total KYC free Bitcoin and never exposed their UTXOs to something that ties it to them, they're flying under the radar in totality. But once you start buying KYC and the government has it, and somebody from the inside of government is corrupt and uses that to sell that information to gangs, then it becomes really problematic. So
that's one way to put it. Yeah, really problematic. You might die. Yeah. Family kidnapped. You're dead. Yeah, it could be problematic, I would say.
Didn't we have somebody lose a finger? Was it last year? I forget. It was an exchange.
Was it the guy who?
Or was it Ledger? Somebody from Ledger was involved.
No, I thought it was the guy in France again who got picked up, and we thought he was laundering money. Right? He didn't want to pay the taxes on it or whatever. I thought it was that guy. I forget his role now. He might have been actually working for an exchange now that you mention it, but I don't recall who or when.
So Boomer's saying with AI and IP addresses, when you use your own node that's running behind a VPN and even Tor, broadcasting a transaction from when you send it, maybe they could tie it to you. But when you're receiving, there's no IP address. You're sending it to an address.
Yeah.
So there's no as long as you're receiving, there's no way to say that that Bitcoin address belongs to somebody in X country. It could be anywhere in the world or fucking universe for that matter.
Yeah.
You're going to love this story, Joey.
Can I just share something that Gigi in the Bull Bitcoin chat sent us? I want to make this meme very popular. I think this is maybe the funniest meme ever.
I love to hear.
Yeah, this is a trade offer meme for people who are on listening on audio. It says, I receive 60% of your taxes, or 60% taxes on your income. You receive state agents who sell your address to gang members. And it's Emmanuel Macron in the trade phase. elite meme from our friends at Bull there. Yeah,
you gotta
not good.
A meme
not
like
good.
This one.
Go ahead.
It's a good story because a new Bitcoin monument has been erected at
so
the main
dumb.
international.
This guy's got to stop. Just go back to the Human Centipede jail videos and leave us Bitcoiners alone, man. Come on.
So, for people who don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, the international airport, the main one in El Salvador, when you arrive in the airport, there's this new Bitcoin monument, and people are greeted by this beauty over there. It says, "Welcome to Bitcoin country." It's got the big Bitcoin symbol on it, and right beside it has a couple of screens showing off a few things like the price of Bitcoin, how much Bitcoin El Salvador presumably has, and some tweets from Bukele is also on there. So it's good stuff, and so it's just
what is he betting on? Like, what is the intended result here of the Bitcoin monument being put up at the airport? They got rid of Chivo. They got rid of Chivo. The IMF has got them under their boot now, and I don't see why this is a good idea. Explain this. Like, someone's got to explain this to me like I'm retarded, because I don't get it. I think this is just asking for trouble.
Are people still thinking of moving there?
No.
Like Bitcoiners?
No.
Remember there was a period of time where they were offering up residency or citizenship?
Len, I was going to meetups and people were like laughing at me for telling them that I thought El Salvador was going to rug. They're not going to rug. There was one guy, an optometrist, whose name I can't remember, but he's a nice guy. Him and his wife moved there, and he just kept saying to me last time I saw him, "I'll save room for you on my couch, blah, blah, blah." Like, I'm not coming to your couch anymore. No one's coming to rent your couch. It's
How much
over.
were they asking for? It was like 50 Bitcoin or something. I forget what the fucking number was.
It was quite a bit. No, I think it wasn't like 200 grand. I don't think it was 50 Bitcoin. 50's a lot. 50's a lot.
Remember when it first came out, Bitcoin went down to 15K, right? So I don't, whatever the fuck it was, they were asking for quite a bit for residency, citizenship, something like that. And some people took them up on that offer. They got fucking totally scammed because they thought there was this bright future over there where Bitcoin could be continually used as a medium of exchange, and you could just go to the McDonald's and pay with Bitcoin. Fuck, man. Like, I feel bad for those people. They're dumb as fuck. I still feel bad for them for it.
I don't think they're
right?
dumb.
Like,
I think they were hopeful.
They believe too much. They
were hopeful. You know, some of those people didn't.
It was
come
free
from
Bitcoin. I thought it was way higher than that.
Yeah, there you go.
Off.
By the way, some of those people didn't come from Canada either, right? They came from places and situations that were a lot more dire. They liked Bitcoin, especially if you're in a place where you got to get out. There's not a lot of other Bitcoiners. Like, it looks like a great option, but yeah, I think at this point, I mean, if it wasn't safe before, I think it's safe to say you got rugged.
Let's talk about this guy named Stephen Punwazi.
Yeah, Punwazi from Better Dwelling. Yeah. Great story. I like this.
He tweets that, I'm going to read it. Just, it says here, crypto is dangerous. Your money can disappear. He says this sarcastically because he says, a counterpoint, RBC just quote unquote lost one of my business accounts, not closed or anything. The account never existed. They're equally confused why I have a bank card, checks, routing details, and login connected to nothing. And, you know, we're going through this situation in the past little while. You see people are getting debanked. And, you know, if somebody out there is very powerful and wants to have you erased within the fiat world, it could happen.
Yeah.
Right? It's very simple.
Or you could be at the hands of incompetent tellers in 1990s Windows 3.1 bank software. You could also get nuked by that as well. Anything can happen in Canada. Just lose your account. The best is that he went to the bank with the checkbook and the like old statements, and they just had no record of it. Like, assuming that guy's making okay money, the bank has never seen him before. Like, oh, it's Steven. And now his account's gone.
Maybe.
How is that possible?
I mean, he could do everything remotely.
Still,
right?
Man,
I could see that.
I don't know.
And so, anyways, you know, you're dealing with a centralized service like a bank, and if they want to rug you, they can rug you. This is another reason why I Bitcoin. There's so many reasons why I Bitcoin that was this week why I'm doing it, but this is another one. You know, if you use Bitcoin properly, can't get rugged.
Yeah,
it's not like a kid at the bank. I feel bad for this guy. Now, apparently, he's got this resolved. But man, he's got a big following. Imagine like somebody that didn't have a big following. What could he or she do?
It's always a story, isn't it?
Fucked.
What happens if you don't have a following? You're at the mercy of these, you know, errors, and there's not much you can say or do because no one's going to reach out to you if you have 1,000 followers, or even like, you know, I don't know how many followers I have, 3,000, 4,000, something like that. Like, even that's not big enough for RBC to help you. You're at the mercy of, like I said, the tellers. And by the way, the tellers are like, I'm sure they're nice and they're trying their best, but the likelihood that they're going to be able to really give you good advice is basically zero, especially for a problem like this. Is it not? Am I dreaming that? You're laughing. It's true though. You're not going to get any help from these guys. Like, what are they going to say? They work there part-time. Like, I don't know.
Let's talk about Rumble Wallet. So it's the Rumble Wallet is now available for creators to receive tips in USDT, Bitcoin, and also something called Tether Gold. Okay, I never heard of Tether Gold before. Either way, you could use that to tip people in this virtual gold stuff. I haven't tried out the Rumble Wallet, but from the way I understand it is you have to download the Rumble Wallet to your phone, so some mobile device, and you have to enable the feature from the app. Yeah. And apparently there's some bugs in the system that's being reported by Bitcoin, not crypto. And I want to just give him some credit here because I watched his video and he tested it out and came up with some issues that were as a result of this, of the app. And he says the Bitcoin that's being used is on-chain Bitcoin. They're not using Lightning. You're using on-chain. So you're talking on average every 10 minutes, it's going to settle. Not only that, you're dealing with the on-chain fees, which, you know, it could be high. It's cheap right now, but
it can be.
You know, if somebody's sending you something, if they're sending you a tip, they're probably going to send you a few pennies or something like that. And, you know, depending, you know, how much the UTXO and shit like that, it may be unspendable. depending on the fees at the time. And so not only that, there's another issue. The tipping with Bitcoin is a single address. They don't generate new address every time you tip. It's the same address as of right now. So it's easy to do a search on a blockchain explorer to see how much Bitcoin that address received, they're holding, and they moved. And if that Bitcoin that they received was moved to an address that they hold more Bitcoin, and then they later move it again, and they consolidate, right? Yeah. If they do poor job consolidating their UTXOs, and they're doxed at that moment, and then that's shitty. So that's why using on-chain in this particular manner is not the best way of using it. You shouldn't use it altogether, period. I would suggest use Lightning and then let the creator itself deal with the Lightning and how to deal with it. But it's buggy at the very least. That's the way I'm seeing it. I wouldn't want anybody to use it at this particular moment. It's shitty.
You don't need Rumble Wallet, do you? What do you need it for? You got QR. I know you got QR codes so you can stick on your videos if you want to get on-chain transactions or Lightning transactions. Why expand your surface area for attack? Right? We don't know who coded this. We don't know where it came from. Yeah. Okay. Great. So we don't know. I don't think it's open source, right? As far as I can tell.
No,
I didn't see it. No idea. So it's not. Let's say it's not open source. And I see Boomer in the chat. It's competition to YouTube. I don't view it as necessarily competitive with YouTube. But I do want. I hope it kind of catches lightning in a bottle. It'd be fun to have Bitcoin tips become the norm. I mean, we don't think much about this because in the Bitcoin podcast space, we have Fountain, right? So Fountain, we get boosts every week. We read out the comments and stuff, and it's like, nice. Okay. A little bit of money in our pocket. You guys get to say what you're thinking, and Bob's your uncle. But there are better ways to do this without, another wallet product, I think. But
you have to remember that Tether bought into
Tether
Rumble.
owns a big piece of Rumble, like 20% or something huge.
So by doing so, they want to expose their products, USDT. It looks like that Tether Gold as well. If you're going to do that, then Bitcoin is an adjacent product. By the way, I checked to see if it's open source. It's not entirely open source. They're using open source tools to develop it, but it's in itself is not open source. So that's just an FYI. So really what they're trying to do is they're trying to create an alternative to YouTube that is less censored. And you now have the ability, if you want to tip them, you don't have to use whatever it is with Google to pay for, or the YouTube version of paying somebody a tip. You could just use something that's totally outside that, Bitcoin, right? And in theory, that works really well. But in practice, in this particular case, it's not all that good. If they could migrate somehow Lightning into it, then it's
be sick.
Great, not fantastic, because Rumble is still growing, but it's still better what it is now. And then you can see, okay, I could start using it as a Bitcoiner. I want to use that as my primary place to start posting videos, doing live shit.
Totally.
Right. So I guess that's what they're trying to do. Anyways, there's this great story out there that why you should never use a custodial exchange. Or at least if you are going to use one, pull your Bitcoin off as soon as possible from the exchange after making the buy. And it's a story from Yahoo. And it says South Korea's Supreme Court ruled that Bitcoin held on domestic exchanges can be legally seized under the Criminal Procedure Act. And they were trying to decide how to deal with these digital assets that were held in exchange, and if it could be seized during a criminal investigation. And this all started back in January 2020. That was actually pre-COVID. And at that time, police confiscated 55.6 Bitcoin from somebody who was under investigation for money laundering. And the courts they had to figure out what to do with it. They were arguing that the Bitcoin held in the exchange did not qualify as physical property. But then eventually they decided, let's take this to court, figure this thing out.
I love this. It's Schrodinger's Bitcoin, right? Whatever they want it to qualify as for the purposes that they're looking to fulfill, we got to tax it. We don't have to tax it. It's property. It's not property. It's yours. It's ours.
They say it qualifies as an electronic token with the ability to be independently managed, traded, and substantially controlled in the terms of economic value. And there's new proposals out there that would allow authorities to lock these accounts, these exchanges, before the suspected criminal was even had the ability to withdraw the money. So no more lengthy delays for getting a warrant. They could just simply get it locked, and then at that point they can't get their Bitcoin off. So that's why you wouldn't want to use the custodial exchange. But even, right, like, don't be a criminal. But what you should do is take your Bitcoin, put it in cold storage, and what could be done at that point? They could suspect that you have it, or like, fuck, right? But that's what you should do. That's another reason why you shouldn't use a custodial exchange. Shouldn't leave your Bitcoin on there. Take it off as soon as possible, because they could change laws, as you mentioned, and it could be against you.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. I'll note a couple of things here. Right now, there are fines out against Corbit, Upbit, BitThumb, CoinOne, GoPax, and the anticipated total of all those fines is going to reach $100 billion because they've, participated, let's say, in activities that the government found to be unsavory. There's also a proposed payment freeze system over there now, so you can freeze assets like you can in stock markets, which kind of against the ethos there, I would say. To put it mildly. You have two choices as a Bitcoiner, and it's been like this for a long time, but the threat wasn't quite as real as it is now 10 years ago. You have a choice between ease and security, simplicity and security. You can go to an exchange, ShakePay, Wealthsimple, whatever, and buy and hold on the exchange, and every day wake up and buy a little more and watch the number go up in the exchange and feel good about being able to see it on your phone and touch it on your phone and move it on your phone. And you have a little username to go with it. Other people who are playing in that sandbox can send you stuff without an address. Nice. Secure. Doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about a seed phrase. You don't have to stamp it out. Don't have to hold it on metal. Don't have to make sure it's fireproof, waterproof, hide it in different jurisdictions, take it out of your house, whatever. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You can just go on your phone. That's a solution. You can do that if you want, but you're at risk. South Korea is not North America, of course, not the North American market, but look at what's happening here and even in the UK and European countries, America, and the blue states. There is a trend toward asset seizure and stuff like taxing unrealized gains and forced selling and confiscation of anything liquid that's not bolted down, basically, to support ongoing poor decisions at the state level in terms of spending. So you can either be a part of that, as they destroy every single fiat asset on the way to Valhalla, I guess, or you can just hold it in a cold card and, I don't know, bury it somewhere and forget about it. Use Cove Wallet from our friend Praveen to monitor your transactions and generate receive addresses and never look at your hardware wallet. Up to you, man. You pick. But it seems to me that we're doing these stories more and more, and there's more and more leanings from governments that you would consider to be free, open, and fair, participating in activities that are anything but when the need arises. So be on the lookout for that and protect yourself before you have to. That's the trick, right? Do it before you have to.
That's a good segue to the next discussion. Bitchat, the chat service that
Mesh Boys. Yeah.
No Wi-Fi, no data, no anything like that. It uses Bluetooth for this chat service. As we mentioned, it's a mesh. It's peer-to-peer. And this past week, officials in Uganda said that they could block it. And this release came out as the country is moving forward to a national election. And I'd like to say good luck stopping a peer-to-peer service. It was designed to be used during blackouts. So when there's connectivity blackouts, stuff like Bitchat could still work as long as you have Bluetooth.
Yep.
I once tried out Bitchat, but I never did anything beyond it from installing it because you have to be able to be out in the open. Everybody knows I don't leave the basement. So until I do, I don't know exactly how well it works, but it seems to work very well in certain places that are trying to restrict your freedom, especially your freedom of speech. So in the past, Uganda has restricted online access during politically sensitive periods, like during elections. So it's probably going to happen again as they are marching forward to another national election. So Bitchat, you know what? Stuff like this just gives it credibility, and it's free publicity. Right? Like, why the fuck? Why do this? Now people are more aware of it and probably going to use it. So thanks a lot.
I like Bitchat. It's a good app. Again, there was a thing called Fire Chat like 10 years ago. The people used at music festivals. It was okay. Worked all right. These things only work as well as the sort of popularity in your immediate area, by the way, but still pretty cool. Still pretty cool. Pablo and Johnny there, Hash and Coin, both talking about how funny Bitchat was in Montreal or at Bitcoin events. I never got on Bitchat in Montreal. I was a little busy doing the MC stuff, but I would like to hop on it next time we're at that conference and just, yeah, like Pablo was saying, hit a bunch of people with GM all day long. GM.
Ford.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Will it ever gain mainstream use? No. But that's not the success metric for something like that. Just FYI.
No, just an alternative that gives you the ability to communicate when there are no other options. Like in Iran, for instance, they're going through some internal issues right now. Lots of protests and shit.
You got away with some internal issues over there. Yeah, it's one way to put it.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, well, anyways, there's an internet blackout being experienced over there because the authorities are trying to maintain control, and looks like there's some FUD being spread about how this could impact Bitcoin mining. And not too long ago, if you recall, Joey, China, they banned Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining, right? This wasn't not too long ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin survived that, even though that most of the hash rate came out of that country. And remember our weekly Inner Mongolia reports? We were talking about them.
A simpler time.
Bringing people up to speed to some critical information. But you need the internet to mine Bitcoin. I mean, you could probably be creative to get around it, but for the most part, to hash out, to mine Bitcoin, you need internet and other services like, electricity. But Starlink could potentially be used in times when traditional internet's being shut down. Now, I heard that they're jamming Starlink, so not all the packets are going through, but still, in a limited manner, it's still working. But all this to say that Iran's problem that's going on right now is not going to impact Bitcoin mining fucking at all. Right? Like, in fact, you look at Venezuela, a country that should be in Bitcoin mining. It should be a hotbed, and they're venting and flaring a fuckload of gas. In fact, Bloomberg reports that roughly 13 billion cubic meters of natural gas is being vented by Venezuela every year. That's worth about $1.4 billion. A lot of wasted revenue. Might as well place a call to upstream data, talk to Steve, and get something put out there.
Steve Barber's vlog on the way to Venezuela.
Yeah. Get on a fucking ship and set it out there. So Iran, it's not going to really change anything with Bitcoin mining, right? Like it's just fun. I can't believe they're talking about this.
Did we cover last week the Venezuela Bitcoin secret stash? I guess were we in between shows when that happened? That whole abduction. It was a precision operation, but
was it Bitcoin they stole? It was Tether for they.
No, I thought it was it. I don't know. I forget now. But anyway, you reminded me there. Iran, disaster over there. They are apparently now cutting internet. And about an hour ago, the U.S. consulate told any Americans in Iran to find ways out that do not require government assistance. So get to it. There's going to be a war coming tomorrow. Over under on nuclear bombs this year.
I have to look at the pizza situation in Washington.
It was high about an hour ago. I saw.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Yeah.
Can we see nukes? I'm on Polymarket right now. Let's check out the odds of nukes. Iran nuke before 2027. Is that the chance of them getting one? Oh, here we go.
Neither. The chances are zero for getting
Iran. 30% chance.
Of getting nuked.
Nuclear, yeah, on Polymarket.
I'm gonna take the under on that one.
That's high. I feel like that's high, 30%.
Yeah, for sure it is. Who's gonna want to start a nuclear war? All right, let's. You saw this superheat stuff, right?
Yeah, we talked about it with Juan a bit. This is what this reminds me of? The CoinMine 1 or whatever those things were called years ago.
I can't remember what CoinMine 1 is.
Long time ago now, but it was like another home heater, basically. Tuan has the best product in this silo, and part of the reason is because he tells you the spec. There's no spec sharing on this, right? That was the problem that we...
There is. There is.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay,
sure
hit me with the specs.
So people what the fuck are wondering, what are we talking about? This is making Bitcoin mining more accessible, right? Like we have, or Joey has one behind him. I have one in my garage. You can't hear one Joey has. Is a testament to 256 Heat. We'll talk about them in a minute. Either way, these are home heating solutions. This is the Superheat H1. It's a combined 50-gallon electric water heater and Bitcoin mining rig. And so these sell for approximately $2,000. I assume that's USD. And as I said, they're 50-gallon water tanks. And the hash rate is claimed 120 terahash per second. So with that being said, you know, if you are using electricity to heat your water,
could be.
I don't know. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, could be you.
Yeah, I don't know. So
yeah,
in terms
whatever.
of like this shit, I'm not sure what's the lead time. I do know they say that they're hoping to get shipments done by March 2026, but who knows? I know that Mint Green has been doing stuff. Colin Sullivan was doing shit about repurposing the heat for other things. So this is just another example of that.
They've been very successful with that out in British Columbia. But that's about the only example I think off the top of my head of miners being used in, I mean, I would call that a commercial space, maybe not quite industrial space, but commercial space. So I like the idea of Tuan saying, and Tor up in the chat making a good point. You can't run a water heater 24/7, so it runs only a couple hours a day.
Yeah.
The point, the thing that I think Tuan and you guys and these guys at Water Heat would all agree on, what his name is, Superheat. The guys at Superheat would all agree on is that if the heat is the thing you need, then getting some hash out of it is gravy. So for me, like I've said this a million times, I'll say it again. This thing heats this room when I'm doing the podcast. Like it's cold in here normally. Right now it's probably like 20 degrees, 21 degrees. And in the other room, when I have guests over, I just turn the vent into the bigger room and blows off hot air in there. I need the heat. If you need heat, then maybe you use something like this to do your water heater, even if it's only for a few hours a day. But you're not going to get a lot of Bitcoin. Tor up in the chat is correct about that. It's going to be very underwhelming, but better than zero, right? If the bar is zero, then why not?
You'd be more inclined to take long showers.
Yeah.
And more frequent showers at that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so because if you're going to go there, I'm going to make a few bucks by taking a shower. You'd be like Kramer preparing your lunch over there, right?
Great. Good callback. Yeah.
Let's squeeze this one last story. In Wallet of Satoshi, they're winding down custodial services in the EU. And if you're using it and you're getting a no longer available in your region error, it's because, well, it's no longer available because of the MiCA regulations. They're saying anybody holding custody of user funds must apply for these licenses with national regulators. And this is for dealing and trying to stem or trying to deal with anti-money laundering or money laundering and also terrorism financing.
Shocker.
So
yeah, shocker.
Yeah, so if you're using it,
this is
advisable use a VPN to get your money out of there and try something else.
That was a long time, drawn out. I feel like we talked about that like a year ago.
Yeah, but this just came out. This
Slow
is
just,
yeah.
RIP to a pioneering app, right? That was the first custodial Lightning app, really
affecting people in Germany, Italy, France, Spain, Poland, and the Netherlands.
There you go.
And you need a VPN to connect to Serbia, UK. So yeah,
you need a VPN to tweet mean stuff, anyways, in most of those places. So chances are people already have one.
It's funny for those countries, those 6 countries I mentioned. You have to connect to the UK, like to pretend to be with a VPN in the UK to actually use all the Satoshi.
Yeah, I guess because it's not EU. Interesting,
right?
Yeah.
So imagine that.
Anyways. How the turntables. Anyway, yeah. Let's go to
they do stories. Turn the tables. Yes.
If you're with us on audio, see you tomorrow. If you're with us on video live, hang in. We're not going anywhere. We got some great Canadian content coming up here, meeting the new media requirements to stay on the air. See you in a second.
Don't be a cock.
Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Man! Oh man! Oh man!
It's been a good week.
You watch any football on the weekend or what?
Oh, tons.
Yeah,
tons,
you're a big sports ball guy. Yeah.
We're talking about soccer, right?
NFL and college, both running tonight too. Actually, I'll be watching some of that while I cut up this show for sure. Last game of the wild card round. I can't quit football. I'm stuck, buddy. I'm not going anywhere.
Is it because of betting? Is it because of peer pressure?
I don't bet. I just like watching the game.
Yeah. You're one of the few.
Yeah.
Another person who's one of the few is Donald Trump. He is very unique.
Totally.
One in a million. Maybe even. So he says he's going to want to try to limit credit card rates to 10%, Joey.
Yeah.
Right. He wants to make life more affordable out there for Americans, as he's saying they're getting ripped off by companies like Visa and American Express. And rest in peace to those who are invested in those companies. I'm curious, what happened to the stock price today?
I'll tell you how all those stocks. I'll tell you all those stocks reacted immediately on the news. Citigroup down 4%, Chase down 3%, Amex down 5%, BOA down 2%, Visa down 2%, MasterCard down 2%.
Not as bad as I thought it could have been.
They agreed.
Rebounded, or the market didn't really care too much about this. But either way, 10%. This is not financial advice. Maybe a good opportunity to max out your credit card and buy some Bitcoin. Right, something to consider. And so this is, credit card companies, maybe they've been gouging for some time, right? But going to 10%, it's going to make it hard for them to do business the way they're doing it right now.
Yeah.
They have clients out there, deadbeat customers who are not fucking paying. And so that's why they're charging these high rates, so that they could potentially make more than what they lose. Those deadbeats, if this 10% comes into reality, those deadbeats are going to have to be told to pound sand, because they're probably not going to get a credit card.
They're not credit worthy. Yeah. That's a huge thing for American GDP, by the way.
No, there's another thing they could do, because I could see these credit card companies being very creative in dealing with, so they can't charge 10% on the fees. They could say, okay, we'll give you a credit card and it will only have a $2,000 limit, but you have to have an annual fee of $500. We'll give you a credit card, $7,000 annual limit, annual fee, $800. And they can do shit like that. They can scale it up.
They can't really, because Trump lobbied against that policy when Biden.
Did he really?
He lobbied against having a cap on credit card fees and other banking fees.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, these guys
so
he's creative to find something somewhere.
Yeah, maybe.
One thing they are not is dumb. They will find a way somehow.
It's only a 1-year cap anyway, so
it's going to be very popular amongst the 1-year cap. The midterms, and then wasn't this a Bernie Sanders type idea way back when? So you have the Democrats saying, you can't shit on this, right? So cheap credit for everybody.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Credit card debt is at all-time highs right now. I don't know what percentage GDP is on American consumer credit cards, but I gotta imagine it's like 20%, 15%, something like that. It's a high number.
No clue.
And so Trump is trying to get, a GDP up to 4 or 5 this year. It's doable, but it's going to be hard to do it if your best spenders don't have access to credit. And that's what your best spenders are the ones that are the riskiest, right? Like, that's just the way it goes. People, the widget enjoyers, as we used to say, right? So it's, it's a little bit of a different calculation for him now, I guess, that he's in office. And by the way, this goes, you know what this should tell you? He likes to talk, Trump, I'm discussing now. Trump likes to talk about how he is the everyman's president, but clearly he believes that he has left them behind in some regards, because some of the policies he's touting now are really geared toward the sort of, I don't want to call them least fortunate, but the bottom of the K, let's call it that, the bottom of the K-shaped economy. And whether it's no more income tax under a certain level because of the tariffs, or capping credit card rates, or whatever, it's clear that he thinks he's lost some of that base that came out for him last year or 2 years ago. I guess at this point, time is flying. Oh my God. 2 years ago. I would say that this is probably going to stick if they do it for a year, because who wants to pay more than that? And you know what else it does? It kind of breaks up the price fixing thing that these guys like to do, right? What is a bank credit card interest rate? Is it like 20%, 21%?
I have no idea.
I couldn't tell you what mine is. I think it's around there. And I know department store cards, when I was working at Zellers, the interest rate was 29%. So
they suck you in for like, what is it? Like the first period of time, it's 0% or something.
I forget.
They always suck you in, and then you're stuck.
Yeah.
And
maybe
people are just poor money managers, right? They
big time. They don't think about debt. People don't think about debt. That's what it boils down to. Yeah, that's what it boils down to. So, yeah, we'll see. It's a sign that credit regulation. It's a sign that credit regulation is coming, though. I think.
Wow, another one is mortgages, because Trump, took care of this. Or at least he's going to claim he's going to take care of the credit cards. He also made an announcement to try to make housing more affordable. He authorized $200 billion to be bought of the mortgage-backed securities by, those federal agencies with Western names. It's about time we renamed them, by the way. I think it's more time with Fazeh Mohammed and Farid Mullah should be the new name of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae or whatever, right? give it some more modern names.
Oh, right? There goes the algorithm support. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Faisal needs to get involved too. So mortgage rates are dropping as a result of this $200 billion buy from these mortgage-backed securities. Yeah. Furthermore, he says he wants to put an end to companies like BlackRock from buying up residential units.
That's good. That's good to see that. At the same time that we're about to open the market to foreign investment because people can't stand the price of their house in British Columbia going down. They're doing the opposite over there.
I'm surprised, given the amount of clout these companies have through lobbying and shit like that this type of move is going to be done. I'm surprised. So it is a good move, I guess. It's going to, in the short run, it's going to make things. It's more intervention. Do you really want that in the end?
Yeah, more thumb on the scale stuff. No, I don't. But there's certain things that, like, again, this is going toward significant changes in regulation in the financial sector. Corporations are people under, what is the name of that law? Dodd-Frank, I think. And under that law, corporations can do the things people do, including buy homes, right? And so you have this kind of like weird designation that's very flexible, and that malleability allows for certain advantages that the average person doesn't have. Obviously, I'm not both a person and a corporation, where meanwhile the corporation is. So you do have to put a limit on that a little bit. When Dodd-Frank came out in 2008, 2009, something like that, I forget. There wasn't ever a thought that this would be the end game, right? But clearly now there's a problem with that over there. The question I have is not one about America. It's one about Canada. Is Canada going to see the funneling now from all this capital that can no longer buy whatever single family dwellings or multi-family dwellings or whatever designation they give over there? If they can't buy them in the States, are they going to come here and pile money in? We seem to be asking for it. I mean, certainly realtors and homeowners and money in the, on the west side of the country are asking for this. So are we going to allow it? I don't know.
The United States, they're trying to look in Canada's financing, especially with our real estate. And they're trying to determine, it looks like that there's been a lot of money laundering going on with our real estate.
Of course there has.
Did you see this news release from the United States?
No.
This came out some time ago, 6 days ago, after last week. So clearly and I've been pounding on this drum for a while. I don't advocate for this, but I could tell you, theoretically, one could easily launder money through a home that you own. You have a home, you have dirty money. One way to make it clean, improve the house somehow. Buy a new roof, buy something, pay all cash. The price, the value of the home's gone up. You sell it, it's fucking washed clean. And the money that you use to put into that is it's washed fucking clean. And in Canada, it's such an, I don't want to say, it's one of the easiest ways to do it. It's safe.
It's endemic here is what it is. Like, if you had to pick a word for it.
The price of the home, with a high degree of certainty, in 5 years, that home is going to be worth more in 5 years than it is now.
Totally.
And if you modify it, improve on it, it's going to be drastically improved in terms of price. And then, so like, it's too easy to fucking launder like that.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyways, BC. Let's go over there. BC.
Sure. We are
I'm not sure if you
dangerously
saw
close to having a weekly BC segment, by the way, on this show. The way things are going over there,
I don't think we're gonna go there just yet.
we're getting closer all the time. We are getting closer all the time. We'll take another like niche sponsor to do the BC.
Punjab Media and Audio Video wants to sponsor us, so we'll take them for the BC segment. So BC, they're going to be ending the pilot program for the drug decriminalization.
Oh no, who could have seen
set
this
to
coming?
expire? So set to expire on January 31st. So currently, being in the possession of a small amount of drugs is allowed, and the idea behind it, they did this with a few purposes, Joey. So, one, they wanted to encourage people to seek out help. They wanted to reduce the public perception of those who use and carry a small amount of drugs. So, like, if now it's legal to do so, if you have drugs, so you don't look at that fucking druggie, it's like, oh, just common citizen carrying drugs. You know, it's like pack of smokes. BC Premier was saying, quote, "It didn't work, and we ended that. So we're in close conversations with the federal government. I look forward to having more to share soon about that." And looks like they're positioning themselves for an election that is going to take place no later than October 2028. 2.5 years from now, but it could be sooner than that. So this whole decriminalization stuff, did it work? No. Why? Proof is in the pudding. They're fucking canceling this thing. The pilot project is done. You've been to BC, right? You've seen what's over
I was there
there.
I went there for my honeymoon. Not necessarily in places where you see a lot of drugs, but we did use Vancouver as our hub. We flew into Vancouver for the first like 2 nights, I think. And I've told this story before, but you know, my wife ended up with a bladder infection on like the 2nd day or something, which sucks. She gets them sometimes. If your wife or girlfriend gets bladder infections, recommend that she stop drinking caffeine. That's part of the problem. Worked for my wife like a charm. Anyway, that aside, we ended up having to go to a walk-in clinic to get some meds. And the walk-in clinic is downtown next to a community health center. Well, the community health center turns out to just be a needle shack. And it's people walking there in and out, folded over, completely fucking like sloshed, fucked up, high as a kite on the sidewalk, spreading cheer and joy and showing how good open air drug use can be in terms of culture and appreciating in downtown core. This doesn't work anywhere it's tried. Nowhere. People talk all the time about places like Amsterdam. Amsterdam has no open air drugs, but drugs are legal. Amsterdam has a lot of other things too that I won't mention on this show that lead away from drug use: strong families, low divorce rate, cultural homogeneity, all these different things that Canada does not have. And there are certain populations.
There's been a lot of changes in the past little while in all of Netherlands.
Yeah,
maybe not Amsterdam.
Exactly.
Netherlands,
and
there's a big change.
Maybe. And I would also note that there's a certain culture that allows for open air drug use and a certain culture that does not, right? And Vancouver has embraced this culture of demonizing anybody who says that people using drugs in the street is not part of living in a big city. Well, obviously it's not. And by the way, you said it. There's an election coming up at some point. These guys want to win, and so they have to clean things up. This is the best way to do it. Why did it take this long? I don't know. But you can't.
Maybe the Chinese premier's coming over, and they have to
clean up the streets. Everybody over there. Yeah, get away from the cameras.
Worked in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I get to do the same thing here. Anyways, Manitoba. They got a deficit problem over there.
Our guy Wob, saying the right things and doing something different. Yeah.
This is a report by the Winnipeg Sun saying that the provincial deficit is 2 times higher than what was just reported 3 short months ago.
Yep.
And they say it's not market conditions, Joey, but they say unexpected expenses such as forest fires,
garbage,
and low water levels affecting Manitoba hydro sales.
Amazing. They try and blame climate change for all their fucking stupid decisions. I can't stand these people. Cannot stand them.
These guys, they promised a balanced.
This guy, a prime ministerial hopeful, by the way. Wob, like he's got his eyes on Sussex Drive. Or Wab,
I don't know
what's
what's the path for this, but okay. They were saying that they're going to promise a balanced budget before the next election. Next election is going to take place October 2027. And I'm not sure how they're going to be able to achieve that balanced budget without massive increases in taxes or massive cuts, or maybe a combination of the two. And yeah, you know, if they don't do it, who suffers in the end? Everybody's out of pocket, right? Everyone's going to pay one way or another. But good on Manitoba.
What do we always say about government economists? They never forecast downturns, right? If you look at the dot plot, the SEP, you look at projections here for Bank of Canada, they never project a downturn. Never a recession, never a depression. Everything is just rosy at all times. These guys are going to say forest fires or global warming thing. We've already talked about how forest fires can be prevented with proper maintenance. They choose not to. That's on them. It's not on the taxpayer to worry about that after the fact. Other thing that's not mentioned in there is that the Winnipeg Sun also reporting that the problem with healthcare and families both having an overspend issue in the provincial system. And of course, there's also some blame on the trade war. So they're pulling out all the stops here. But at the end of the day, the problem is that they don't have the money. And the forecast assumed that property taxes would be up 40% over 4 years. I don't know if you saw that number. It's not going to happen. Isn't it true that most jurisdictions now are going to have a problem with the highest income earners leaving or finding ways to shelter their income from taxes? More and more people. Happened? It has, but
that becomes more prevalent, right?
Exactly. It's pushing down the ladder now a little bit. And I just don't think there's any, like, looking at some of the stuff in the report here, like, how did you not project this? Well, the fact is that you should have projected it. It shouldn't be up to the newspaper to find out that you missed budget by 100%. The original deficit forecast was $794 million. Now it's $1.6 billion. $billion.
For Manitoba, man.
I know there's nothing even there. What are you building?
Aside from the Blue Bombers, right?
God, like, just unbelievable mismanagement from them. On the bright side, at least I won't have to see much of that premier for a while. Presumably, he'll be in the shadows for a bit.
Well, let's talk about a nut job in Calgary. And she was filmed throwing one of those construction pylons off the balcony of her 14th floor condo. And it's not one of those rubber pylons that you just, you see the soccer practice or something. These are the ones they use for diverting diverting traffic, right? And, when you have long-term lane closure, these fuckers weigh 13 pounds, Joey. 13 pounds tossed off the floor of the 14th floor condo. Luckily, nobody was hurt. Zero regard for human life. People could have been killed. And it's why it's from these social media stumps. They want to get fucking views. They want to get monetized. They want to get paid for shit. It's too bad. And it's not the only one. We had the chair lady back in Toronto a few years ago tossing a chair.
Yeah.
It was
She was in Drake's apartment or something, was she not? I thought it was like I can't remember. I thought there was a tie-in with Drake somehow. I was just thinking that, but I don't remember the exact details. Crazy. How does this happen?
It's fucking bullshit. I don't know. It's like people are just mentally fucking ill to do that. I wouldn't even fucking take a piss off a balcony, and picking a piss is fucking bad off a balcony. But at the very least, all it would cause is just people being, they're kind of sick from that. But you throw some hard object, 13 fucking pounds, you could kill somebody
for sure. And what was the punishment here? What was the punishment here?
Doesn't say. She just charged. That's it.
Bad. That's so bad. There's certain like antisocial in the technical sense behaviors that I think like are too hard to come back from in terms of it's like a personality flaw, How can you put that person back into polite society?
Put her on the 13th floor, so one below. That way it's a little bit less damage.
You're not allowed to have any apartments above the first floor. You have to be on the ground floor of all apartments from here on out.
All right, I'm gonna butcher this fucking name. Kayano Vafanian.
Okay.
Vafanian. And it was a 26-year-old Canadian, died December 30th, 2025.
This is a crazy story. This is absolutely insane.
It's from the MAID program. The guy was apparently approved for MAID back in 2022, but his mom at that time worked very hard to make sure that the story went public, and he was dissuaded at that time to move forward with the procedure. But you know, he had some medical issues. He had diabetes, depression. The diabetes led to one of his eyes being blind, but still, you know, I don't have these issues, right? It's easy for me to say, but the guy unfortunately decided he had enough. He changed his mind, and he was put to rest. 26-year-old dude. And if you look at it, aside from being depressed and having diabetes, he was a healthy dude, right? Just like it's sad to see this happen. It's measurable to see how many people died in Canada due to this. It's creeping up, and I don't think it's ever going to pass cancer or whatever, but it's measurable. If you look at how many people die annually due to this, it's quite high. And you know, I can understand if you're stage 4 cancer, or that you know, it's rough and you last, but something like this, it's hard for me to justify. Granted, I haven't walked in his shoes, but man, oh man, I mean, we got to do better at this. Give some people an opportunity to live a life.
Yeah. So I will tell you, you're underselling this story a bit, and I'll tell you why. In 2022, you mentioned that he tried to make a MAID appointment. His mother, Margaret, God bless this woman, intervened publicly. Appointment was canceled. First doctor that he had told him, "You can't get MAID. You're young and healthy." Well, then he finds Ellen Wiebe. Okay,
Wiebe.
Ellen Wiebe is her name Wiebe?
Wiebe.
Okay, Ellen Wiebe is famous in this country for all the wrong reasons. She has killed more than 400 people as of October 31st, 2024. She signed off on 400 MAID appointments. National Post did a story on her at that time. And this lady goes on these media outlets and talks about her kill count, basically, her KD. This is disgusting. This woman should be put in jail, if not worse. They found a loophole to kill this kid, thanks to this doctor who's addicted to suicide and never talked to the kid's mother, even though for sure the case file has a note in there about this person's mother was able to convince him last time. Maybe we shouldn't convince him. Now, it raises significant ethical questions, I think. Like, what was the loophole here that was used that one doctor a few years ago couldn't find? How significant is the loophole? Is it loophole that needs to be closed? I think that's a question that we deserve an answer to. What is the requirement for family involvement? I realize this guy is not a minor, although we do approve suicide for minors now as well. Should you have to call someone's loved ones, his next of kin? You demand a next of kin when you're admitted to a hospital for some reason. So why not ask for a next of kin for a decision like that? Especially one that's got, you know, a psychological and, dare I say, you know, spiritual element to it, you know? Wiebe is known as Dr. Death in the industry. I don't know if you know that. And serves on the advisory council of the Dying with Dignity Canada board. She's been under investigation before, okay? Covertly entered Orthodox Jewish nursing home in 2017. Euthanized patient despite family and resident objectives. Regulator found no wrongdoing. Multiple complaints from coroners and families. Similar pattern in other cases. Crazy. When does compassion for someone's situation, medical situation, get overridden by convenience for stuff like this? Is the question that I want answered from Wiebe or from anybody. You can't help this kid. I realize we're not going to bring back someone's vision, okay? But hunting down a doctor with a reputation as Dr. Death, finding loopholes, not contacting the family or next of kin, and doing it basically under a shroud is just insane.
Well, let me put it in a different point of view. And I hate to do this.
Sure.
But he clearly was ready to be done with it. He was in a state of mind.
He was ready last time too.
If it's almost to the point, if he didn't find a doctor, he probably could have found another way to get it done. If you know what I'm getting at.
Sure.
So what we really need is people need to get this addressed. The mental, like the problems that exist out there, and it's just getting fucking worse. Somehow they need to be addressed, and people aren't they're not going out. There's no human connection anymore.
Yeah.
So you lose that, and the weather doesn't help. So there's, I think, a whole bunch of factors. I'm not trying to justify this, but I'm just trying to point out what's the reality here. And people just need, if they have issues, they should seek it out. And I hope that there's available assistance out there that they could get, because it's too bad, because people, they may not get it through this particular way, but they may find it, they may end up doing a different way and still achieving the same goal.
But here's the thing, right? Like, medical assistance in dying because of mental illness is not allowed. Because of mental state is not allowed. Not until next year. So that's not a reason. Like there has to be
even in next year.
safeguard.
Is it a reason?
Yeah.
Just because it's allowed, does it mean it should be a reason?
I don't think it should be. No, I'm very much against this. I'm against this because I keep on hearing on TV from our politicians that our healthcare system is untouchable, public healthcare. We did an episode on this with Mo Zarabian and Brian Day. Like, doctors who are willing to speak out are all saying the same things. The system has a problem. Free healthcare is anything but free. It's very costly, in fact. And here you have a great example, right? The cost is not just one of dollars and cents, but it's one of lives, families, relationships.
If it was properly managed, properly funded, and if it's not overburdened by, the reality is we didn't put a lot of new money in the healthcare system, but a lot of people are now using it now compared to a few years ago, just because there's an increase in the population. And so now it's even more burden than it was before. It was, it wasn't all that great before, but it's getting worse. In a perfect world, it wouldn't be like that. But we don't live in a perfect world. I get that.
Well, you'd think we did in terms of healthcare if you ask certain people, but you're killing vulnerable people, right? At the end of the day, this guy's a vulnerable person by any definition. And you can't, like, I'm not saying you have to try and walk everybody off the cliff. That's not the medical profession's job either. But offering some kind of treatment that makes things easier as opposed to killing them is, I think, a fair middle ground. But she's the master of disaster, man. She'll get it done for you. She's a killer, that one. No pun intended.
Let's do one last story before we tie this episode up. Finch LRT. I don't know what fucking line it is. I'm calling it. I still call it the Blue Danforth line, Young University Spadina line. Finch LRT.
Just don't call it Dundas. Anything else but Dundas.
Well, they haven't changed the name of the line. Actually, they did. I'm wrong. I'm totally fucking wrong. It's Metrolinx. They're saying that Finch LRT, it's got some fucking problems. It's not being rolled out the way that they had hoped. There was a series of service disruptions. Most notably, there was a Boxing Day storm that caused issues. The LRT struggles with extreme cold and snow, stuff that you kind of expect to get in Canada, Southern Ontario. The lines switching signals, they say, unlike freight train railways, they use gas-powered flamethrowers to clear ice.
Yeah.
The Finch LRT uses electric heaters. So the system, they say, needs to be perfected to ensure reliability and to deal with the harsh Canadian winters. And what TTC was doing, they were proactive. They launched this LRT, but they also had a full bus schedule running, a full parallel bus. So they're running two fucking services.
These guys are the best. They're the best.
During this wrap-up phase. And riders are saying it takes a long time. Originally, it was 34 minutes was a projection from end to end, 50 minutes plus, over an hour in certain cases. This is all, if you recall, I recall this vividly. David Miller, this was his fucking thing. He wanted to create this crosstown stuff. He wanted to rake the city with LRT. LRT works in some places. Toronto, if they want to be world class, this is fucking Bush League to have LRT. The total cost for Finch LRT, $3.7 billion.
Crazy.
Think of how many people could
what a chunk of
jobs,
change. Oh
food, shelter, all that stuff, and you're still running buses alongside this. It's fucking pathetic. What can I say?
I mean, we did just talk about how they couldn't figure out that they got warm and cold and wet in the fall, right, when they were painting the
the
bus lanes or whatever.
In Rome, Italy,
yeah,
they just opened a new station adjacent to the Colosseum. It opened up in the past 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks. And during that excavation of this new line, this new subway station, of course, Rome being Rome, they found all these artifacts. What do? They took these artifacts and created the subway station is now a museum of the stuff that they found. When you go down into the subway station, you see all these artifacts they found over there. It's absolutely brilliant.
Good idea.
But even there, with the shitty work attitude that they have over there, still it costs less per kilometer to build the subway in Rome than it did in Toronto.
Yeah.
Why is it like that? That's fucking pathetic. Like, we should be able to do things much more efficiently.
Why don't we have the Italians
with a shovel? Like 100 years ago, they fucking built.
Why don't we have
London.
the Italians come here to build our line, and
You don't
we have
want
the
that.
Canadians go there to build the ice rink? Isn't that a good idea given the current state of affairs?
Well, the smaller ice rink is probably advantageous. At least it used to be to the Canadians. I'm not sure if the game has evolved, but back in the day when you had the Boston Gardens.
Didn't they just have the hockey Olympics there, Winter Olympics there, like a decade ago? I thought they
2008.
did. So is there not still an arena somewhere over there?
I don't think it was in Milan. I think it was somewhere else.
I don't know where it was, but I remember it was in Italy.
Torino, wasn't it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Or I got a reverse. Now it's Torino.
Well, whatever. Like, is there not a rink? How far is that from Milan?
Very close.
So put them on a bus. Put them on the new train line.
Yeah, they got hit with it's bad cold over there. They actually got a lot of snow in places that normally doesn't get snow. But anyways, let's transition to the Brampton versus Hamilton.
Yes. Brought to you by our friend Tuan at 256 Heat. Best place for you if you need a heater. Okay, like we can't say this enough times. We are getting notes from Tuan all the time that he's selling to CBP listeners these heating units, and every single one he sells, the reaction is like amazing. I can't believe I wasn't doing this before. It's so quiet. It looks nice. He's now iterative 3D printing different elements and components of the current model, and he's cooking up a new model coming soon to the S19, and I think also to the 240, the S21 Pro. You can't teach this. Like, Len and I were over at his house for dinner the other day, and you kind of need this laser focus on a project like something like this. And so he's on the phone with people all the time. He's learning ways to streamline the process, to ship easier, to install easier. And the thing just works. It's on in here all the time. You guys can't hear it. It's on right next to me, 8 feet away, max. And I cannot tell you enough that once you try it, you'll never buy another heater again. You'll only buy these things. So 256 Heat, call him, email him, and he'll hop on a call with you quick time and get you set up, man. Can't beat it.
So we have a couple of great stories over here. The first one, we have man on couch seen in the back of a moving truck. And a man was spotted sitting on a couch in the back of a moving pickup truck.
Okay.
And
a pickup truck or a moving truck? A U-Haul, a pickup
truck.
Pickup
truck. Yeah.
Oh, back of a moving truck, a truck in motion. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So a recent video posted on X shows a man comfortably seated on a black couch loaded in the bed of a pickup truck, and he appears to be holding a phone to his ear, engaged in conversation. And the couch is positioned with the tailgate down. It obscures the license plate, so it was difficult for witnesses to write down the license plate. But the driver's out there with his signal on, ready to make a left-hand turn. And it says, in Ontario, riding in the back of a pickup truck in any public roadway is illegal. And if caught, you get $500 or imprisonment up to 6 months. And also, additionally, driving with the tailgate down is not allowed. So this dude was driving. Somebody was driving him. He was sitting in the backseat, just chilling there on his phone on the back of the pickup truck. And it just city streets. I love it. That's one
legendary. Okay.
Second one, we got this non-consensual nude photos and videos shared online in a 15-month sentence for this man. And a man was spent more than 15 months in jail because he was taking pictures, nude photos and videos of women without their consent and uploading them to his Pornhub account.
Wow.
This 30-year-old pleaded guilty to 3 accounts of...
He's got a Pornhub account. Okay.
Yeah, so it's under his name. I don't want to say his name, but his name, Rails. So it'd be like Joey Rails, Len Rails. That's the name of his Pornhub account. He uploaded these videos of the women to his account and featuring in sexually derogatory comments. And furthermore, it's very interesting. He dated his ex-girlfriend from July to October 2016, and during that time, he took numerous photos of her naked and engaged in sexual activities. He posted these pictures, and apparently his girlfriend expected full privacy, but it wasn't the case.
I guess so. Yeah, you would expect full privacy, I suppose.
God.
You certainly don't want to wind up on Nail's Pornhub account. That's for sure. Yeah, that's not what you were intending. No doubt about that.
So it's she didn't find out till 2020 when a friend let her know. I don't know how the friend figured out that he was on Pornhub, but
a whole other stone needs to be turned over for sure.
And the second case, he recorded an employee at a gym. He used to go to this gym, and she was performing weightlifting exercises. He was secretly recording her, zooming in on her ass, shit like that. Posted this under the title on his Pornhub. Smoke show blonde. What's that?
What's the title?
Smoke show blonde with fat ass candid. I get caught in the end. He got caught.
I get caught in the end.
So he got caught. So he took some pictures of women. It says here that he's 30 years old from a closely knit family, and he had a positive upbringing. He's unemployed and continually lives with his parents. He's also engaged to a woman that he met back in February, and during this recording spree. So, yeah.
This might be the toughest.
She supported
one
them through the court process, and no prior convictions before this. There you go. So you have the two stories. You have the guy that's driving or being driven around in the back of a pickup truck while sitting on a fucking couch. The picture is phenomenal, by the way. I gotta send it to you. And then you got this guy taking pictures of women at the gym and video, posting it on his Pornhub account, sending his ex-girlfriend's pictures on there, and
it feels to me like it'd be like the good old Canadian boy doing the pickup truck thing. But the gym one does not sound like a Brampton man. It does not sound like a Brampton man. Like it sounds like there's too many, the periphery of the story, the girlfriend, he's got a Pornhub account with nails in the name. Like it's sort of you wouldn't have absorbed that part of the culture yet if you were a new Brampton man. So I'm going to go with the Brampton man on the couch in the pickup truck and the Hamilton man filming at the gym and getting caught in the end.
Oh, you're correct. That's
nice.
It's Mikhail Rails was the guy his account, but it's been deleted back years ago. And
pull it up, Jamie. Pull that up.
I sent you in a private chat the picture of the guy riding in the back of the pickup truck. If you want to just put that up here, just a beauty. Just a fucking beauty, this one is.
It's so great. This has got to be.
Doesn't give a fucking shit.
Got to be one of the best things the show's ever shown.
Just doesn't give a fucking shit. Look at this guy.
Do not redeem it. I can't believe this photo. This is an all-timer. Truly.
He's taking it.
Where's the straps? Where's the bed? The tailgate's down. There's no straps. They're in traffic. Like he's not even. Yeah, I guess he's not worried about being seen by anybody. He's on a main road.
Oh, and he's chatting on the phone, right? He's just, he's just there. Look at him. I love this guy. I want to get him on the show. I'd love to chat
legendary. Let's call him up.
I don't know if I could, but
let's call him up. That's it for tonight, everyone. Thanks for coming. Good to see all you guys in the chat. Good to see all you guys on YouTube, Twitter, wherever else we're streaming. Come back next week for more action. I don't know what we're going to do for interviews, but I'll try and get someone next week. I'm going to interview my physiotherapist at some point to talk about the importance of proper rehab processes.
Is he in the Cornlord chat or
haven't told him yet? No, not Rockwood. Not Rockwood. The guy who's doing my ACL. Although Rockwood would be a good interview too, but I don't think we'd be able to stay on physical therapy. So better.
Do you have to stay on physical therapy? You could divert into this direction and that
with
direction.
Rockwood. It might be a good idea. Yeah, it might be a good idea. So anyway, we'll see you guys next week. Take care of yourselves.
Don't be a cock.